Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Thanks everyone for joining us today. My name is Tim Begonis. I'm the CMO here at D-Tools, and joining me is Seth Enos, Product Manager for System Integrator. And we want to welcome you to our webinar on what's new in System Integrator v23. All right, a little bit about what we'll cover today. I'll give a brief overview of System Integrator for those of you who may not be familiar. Then we'll do a quick run through of what's new in our version 23, our latest version that was just released. And then Seth will do a demonstration of the new capabilities. We will have dedicated time for Q&A at the end. And yes, this webinar will be recorded and distributed to all of you following the presentation. So for those of you who may not be familiar, D-Tools System Integrator has been considered the gold standard software solution of choice since 1998. Our platform provides really an end-to-end solution that helps streamline all areas of an integrator's business, from sales, system design, project management, service, and back office operations. SI has helped thousands of companies just like yours improve operational efficiency and overall profitability. We were founded by Adam Stone back in 1998, who was himself a system integrator, and we've been helping companies just like yours in residential AV, commercial AV, and security for the last 25, 26 years. Our latest version includes a number of new capabilities and feature enhancements, all of which are designed to really help you be more productive. As with all of our releases, we listen to your feedback and work to include those capabilities that will be most impactful for your day-to-day workflow. This new version has a number of enhancements that help companies large and small. Some of the highlighted features that we're going to talk about today include improved multi-office functionality, and this really enables shared settings and catalog data across companies that have multiple offices. This really helps streamline operations across locations. It helps ensure consistency in pricing, in product data, and overall workflows, ideal for growing, scaling, or distributed teams. To that end, we've also expanded our user permissions, providing more granular control over user roles and who gets access to what. Enhancing security and operational control, making it easier to manage large teams, or if you work with subcontractors who may need specific access, or those who need just access at different points. We've increased the speed of our analytics, our business intelligence engine, really helping you get that data that you need to view your projects and business faster, helping managers and stakeholders make better, faster, data-driven decisions. It's really useful when when you have time-sensitive projects or looking at forecasting. We've made a number of enhancements to our project capabilities. A number of new templates, editable templates for checklists, good for submittals and Gantt charts. We've made some improvements to our change order management that Seth will show you. We're supporting conversions from unit to quantity-based projects, which really just helps flexibility. And all of these improvements are really geared to improve your project planning accuracy, help promote repeatability, helping you standardize execution and reduce manual work. And then we've made a number of improvements to our QuickBooks integration. Seth will go through some of these. A lot of it includes naming conventions, number tracking, helping you improve your accounting accuracy, of course, reduce errors during the handoff between estimating and financial reporting, and help simplify your audits. We've created an API for mobile install. laying the groundwork and foundation for a native mobile app coming later in the year. This is really key because this is really going to enable us to put together a native mobile app for mobile install to really help you improve your field technician operations. And then, as always, with all of our releases, there's a number of enhancements and performance enhancements to really help you use the product in a better way, improve your performance, and really help streamline your workflow. And talking about what's coming next on the roadmap, I alluded to the mobile app, which is going to be a native version of mobile install for iOS and Android, which is something that our users have been looking for a long time. And we're also working on inventory management to help unify procurement, helping you track your assets, and manage your day-to-day operations. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to Seth Enos, and he's going to give you a demonstration of all of these new capabilities. Seth?
All right, thank you, Tim. Before I jump into that, because I always forget to do this, there's our contact information. I'll leave that there because it'll be part of the video. And our thank you. Now I'll go ahead and jump out of this and go into our demonstration. Welcome, everybody. My name is Seth Enos, and I am the product manager for System Integrator. I've been with D-Tools now for what now? Oh, geez, like 21 years is what I hit this year. So I'll just say back in the day, I started as tech support, soon out of college back then, and then worked my way up to product manager now. And so we're really pleased to bring out this next release. It came out last week. We started rolling this out, and as we always do, I always like to bring this up. We do a slower rollout. We don't just release it to everybody at once. It helps manage our support team while they're helping you upgrade. A lot of you are have your service hosted on our AWS offering, so you have to coordinate with them to do that. So we anyhow, sorry, lost my train of thought there. But it is a slower rollout. If you are interested, we can always turn it on for you, and you are able to upgrade. So before we get into the features here, I'll just show you that. Let's see. Last release, we moved to a new documentation site. We've changed all of our links, and some of you may find yourself landing out here, different platform. It's docs.d-tools.com. That's, guys, bookmark that. This is where you can find all of the information. This will always have the latest version. So when you come out here, since v23 has been released, this is all v23 information. We do have a legacy site you can go to as well, sidocs.bolddesk.com. That's just for now version 22 and backwards. I think we go back now 6 versions out there on documentation if needed. And it's very searchable out here. There are the release notes, so you can reference this later. And I always bring this up too because the recording of this webinar, you'll be emailed afterwards as well, but we always embed it on this page here at the top after we do this webinar. But here's a list of our features that we'll be covering today. And with that said, I'm going to jump into multi-office. And so that was a feature we started working on while doing version 22, and we didn't finish it. There was a lot of work to be done on this. And I'll be honest, I'm not sure we're done yet. I'm sure there's going to be more requests, but we did do, as far as settings go, we took the most prominent settings that our users would want to share, and we added it to multi-office. So let's explain what multi-office is. A lot of our user base for SI is no longer one building, let's put it that way, or one office. A lot of you have grown over the years, and a lot of larger companies have come on board over the years that have multiple offices, whether they're in the same state or different states. Sometimes they're in different countries even. But you have multi-offices and the need to share data between those. Now, of course, we've always had the option where you have one SI server and you can connect everybody from those companies out to this. But when you want some sort of separation, we didn't really have that option other than running just separate SI servers, but with no synchronization between them. So what we've done for multi-office, and I'll just take you out here, just this multi-office data sync has a little GIF here that explains it as I talk through this, but so that'll be moving in the background as I explain that. What you'll do with multi-office is you'll set up one of your SI servers to be the main server, like the parent server, if you will. And that is where you'll create what we call publications. And publications can be products, labor items, packages, and settings. Those are the four items or entities that you can choose to share with child offices. The child offices, you can have multiple of those. That's why it's plural. So you can have multiple child offices that can create subscriptions, and subscriptions are to those publications. And when a publication is essentially all of the data that you chose. If you say products, it's all products and all fields available. But the subscription on that side, the data that's going to be coming down to these child offices, because the data is one directional. It is just coming down and synchronizing from the main office down to the children office, child offices. The data that comes on, the child offices get to choose which field synchronize. And I'll go through and show you the interfaces here as we jump into this. So I hope I explained that well. It's the sharing of data and settings between offices. So the machine I'm on right now, this one is a child office to just a dev server that I have out here. So I'm going to first take you to the main office server. So out here, I'm in the control panel, which is just, setting up the software. There's now a multi-office data sync section here. And under multi-office settings, this is where you choose whether it's a main office or if it's going to be a child office. If it is a main office, you will need to put the public IP addresses of your child offices in here in order for them to be able to connect. That's a very important thing to know, and that's the data you'll be sharing with your child offices. Once you've chosen your main server, then you set up one or more publications. There's a good chance most of you will use one publication. Here's the data. It's all settings and labor, products, and packages. Others of you will have the use case where you want to allow subscriptions only to certain publications. This office is only going to get products, but not labor items. We run completely separate labor items over on this other office. So you'll get to have those options. So when we look at a publication here, I'll go ahead and just, I can say new one if I wanted to show you how to create one here. You have a name, a description, and then which entities you want to sync: products, labor items, packages, or all three, of course. And then here are the settings we focus on for this initial release: application settings, catalog settings, project settings, reports, and schedule. Those are the features most used by our users. You can see like timesheet settings is not here yet. It's something that we'll iterate on again with user requests. And of course, I'm sure there's some other settings that you all will need, but we focus on these. And the point being here is, as I said, you create a publication where you get to choose what data you'll be sharing with child offices. Now, again, you don't have to share it all. You can only you can give certain child offices access to only certain subscriptions. And how that's accomplished here is via an API key. So every publication has its own API key. That's what you'll be sharing with your child offices, the publication that they're allowed to connect to. And then they, on their end, they're going to be able to choose which fields are going to sync down that you've decided to share. So in this example here, just the packages weren't synced, just products, labor items, and then all of these settings. So back on a child office machine, I'll take you out here to my control panel. And again, I do apologize, there's not much to show in the actual syncing other than you set it up and then it synchronizes the data. So that's why it's a lot of just explaining this versus here, push the button to sync. But back here, I'll show you that this is a child office. Cancel out of that. And so, publications is disabled, subscriptions is not. And this is where, if you edit this, you're going to put in the IP address of the main server, the API key for the publication. And here's where you get to set up which fields you're going to sync. And we differentiated between products, labor items, and package, between new ones that have been added since the last time you synchronized, and then the existing items. There may be times when you want an initial sync of all fields, but after that, you don't want to sync all fields. So when you are setting this up, here's a list of the fields that you get to choose from. Obviously, we have a lot, including the custom fields that you've set up here. I didn't name a lot of mine, but there you have your setup. Also, which settings do you want to sync down? Again, some of you are not going to want to share all settings. Project statuses, might make sense, but you may have your own payment terms or something like that that you don't want to share. So it's just very flexible as far as what you can synchronize between your main office and then your child offices. The last thing I want to say about this is you can set up a schedule down here, or you can not set up a schedule. Again, there may be a time when you set up an initial sync and that was it. And then you don't want it to sync on a regular schedule. We've set it up, we've pushed it over. From now on, we're going to run this over there, and it's just a quick way to get your data over to another SI server. But this use case definitely came up to have just a one-time push, and it could be that it's a subscription that is just for the new items and it's all the fields, something like that, where you don't then do existing. But you can always do this here. So every time we synchronize, it will be an incremental sync on that schedule. We're not going to delete items on the child machines that have been deleted from the main server. That's not how that works as an incremental sync. If there is a case where you've deleted a bunch of items off of the main server, you no longer want those on the child servers, you will need to do a complete sync, and that will go ahead and overwrite that data on the child server. So, and again, hopefully that makes sense. We have the documentation out there to go through, and we're happy to answer any questions at the end, of course. But I know a lot of you may not have multi-office, so I'm going to move on to some other features that may be more broadly appealing. But what I do want to say out here, moving past the multi-office, as part of that, because of the settings that we are going to be synchronizing or allowing you to sync between main and child offices, we moved a lot of stuff around out here, and we made settings that weren't shareable before shareable. And so just to point this out, because I know some of you will come looking, we moved some items here. To this to the company information dialog here, where you share these settings. Some of these, a few of these were on the main general tab here before, down here at the bottom, but we added, we added quite a few more here for your project validation settings, your timesheet validation settings, and this is if you want to share these with all users in your company, and that also means, of course, with multi-office. We have a preferences tab here now because we moved some settings out of application settings that we didn't feel were appropriate anymore to have in application settings when it comes to sharing across multiple offices. So we've just moved those out here. You probably recognize these settings, but this is a common one about how to display your labor hours. We gave you an option a few releases back for that, and just some of the other preferences we moved out of application settings. So in addition to the changes we made there, Tim mentioned this during his presentation, is we have a lot more user group permissions. The permissions that you assign to your users to grant or deny them access to parts of the software. We have a lot more. Now, unfortunately, I don't remember how many we had before, and I didn't count them, but we now have 228 user group permissions. We think that like Microsoft Visual Studio, I think they have 1,000. We're trying to get close, I guess, but we're at 228 individual permissions now. And some of what we changed in this one, just to give you a quick little glimpse in here, we used to have one in here that said manage project settings. Now we have an actual setting called project settings, and it's a bunch of settings that relate to projects. But what we also included in that, manage, or the ability to manage project settings, was locations, systems. I think it was I don't know what other. there were like 3 or 4 other ones in there, but now those are all separate settings out here. I'm just scrolling down here. Manage locations, manage systems, manage component ID format. That's now an individual setting, but it all used to be under one umbrella. And we found that a couple different places. So we decided to split everything out more granular because it seems, well, not seems, it is. Every release, we get a little more granular with these permissions based on user permissions and how much more control you want over your team. So there are a ton more out here for you to go through. Have fun limiting what people can do and keep your data safe. So yeah, again, not a lot to show there other than the list of things we changed. But okay, so one thing we did though is move out of project information, that big dialog I just mentioned, which I think here, project settings, this one here. There used to be a prompts tab in here. We moved that out to its own, again, for part of the multi-office because those prompts may be specific to each user. So there's now a project prompt settings here. And these are just the prompts for checking projects in, project editor, drawing and export. There is a new one in this list as far as prompts that I am going to mention here, but I do want to point out this is where your prompts are now. Its own setting. Don't go back to here looking for that. But the check-in here really is checkout. So this is a new setting here. Checkout project when the project editor is opened. We've never given you an option really for this. It's either prompt you or don't show the prompt at all. So now you can never open the project for edit. Sorry, never check it out, I should say, when you open it. It's always going to be read-only. That could be a small use case, but the automatic, that's the key one. So you don't want to get prompted every time you open or double click a project, whether you're checking it out or not. You can set it to automatically check out if you know you're going to be, if you're there to edit, like a lot of you are. And then, of course, you can still be prompted if you wanted to. So that's a nice new setting there. Okay, this will be exciting for a lot of you. And again, I keep apologizing about the demo, but item custom fields, woohoo. We have increased these. We used to have 26, now we have 75. So yay for that. What we added were 15 more text fields, 8 more list fields, 9 number fields, 9 more date fields, and 8 additional Boolean fields. Just here, you can just see the numbers there. But that's what you get now. Totals 20 text, then of course your 3 long text, and then we added to these. So you've got quite a few. 8 more lists. Look at that. The list one seems to be a very popular custom field. Probably one of the more popular ones we've done. Okay. Now, Tim mentioned this, and again, it's like, don't really have anything to show with this. Let's just go through it. Speed improvements. He mentioned business analytics. We very much, my adjectives, very much improved the speed of business analytics. When you run those, it was getting a little slow for a lot of our larger clients, and our team went back and redid some services and sped that up. They also sped up the conversion of a quantity-based project into a unit-based project. We had clients with 106,000 line items in a project with quantities, mind you, and it was a little slow, believe it or not. It took about 40 minutes to convert. So the team sped that up. It was a cool little change they made in the code. And anyways, it's that's much faster. Sign-in speed's faster. The calendar speed improvements. So a lot of improvements there. Another thing that we did, and because we've had complaints about this, even though I promise you it wasn't our fault, has to do with Microsoft removing WordPad from Windows 11 as of hotfix 2, which I'm sure everyone's on by now. You may have noticed they took WordPad away. They didn't, and I guess they end of life. They removed it. Like, it's no longer part of your OS, which is sad for a lot of you. I know WordPad's really simple, but it is the tool that we relied on with our reporting in SI when we do use rich text files to use WordPad because of our control that we use. The formatting can get a little wonky if you use Word. So we relied on WordPad for years. I know it's not the ideal solution. We get yelled about it all the time. It's the control that it's the reporting control we use. I say that every time. We can't force that company to change their software. So we were relying on WordPad. Now they've taken it away. So a lot of you have been kind of stuck, either rely on other coworkers that have an older machine, like a Windows 10 that still has WordPad on it to get your rich text files built and over to you. We've heard of that case happening, that that person with the older computer is the hero at that point. And of course, a lot of you have said, well, now I'm just going to have to use Word and save it as an RTF. Well, again, as I mentioned, that can cause formatting problems. That primarily, if you guys don't know this, gaps in text is the main thing. It'll be a paragraph that looks beautiful. When it actually goes in the report, it puts huge gaps between certain lines, and it just looks terrible. So we looked around and we found a control out there that we could build into our software. We bought licenses of it, so you guys don't have to pay for it. And we put it in our software, so you now have a rich text editor directly in SI, and it is pretty much a clone of WordPad. I think there's even some additional features, but everything WordPad had, this one has, and it works just as well. It keeps the formatting to a minimum, and it works with our report designer just as well as WordPad did. We didn't gain anything from this other than the fact that we put this in here, and it will prevent you from having to use Word and messing that up. So where that is, just so you know, and it's a default, which you could change if you wanted to, but open RTF files with the SI RTF editor. Your other options would be your Windows RTF editor, whatever you've set. You may have your own, or WordPad. Again, if you're on an older OS, you still get that one, but RIP WordPad. Okay, let's go project improvements. So let's go to projects. And let me see here. Okay, great. First thing you're going to notice here probably is this. We added color coding to project status. We've had that for quite a few years now for schedule status, your tasks and your service orders, the ability to color code those. The request came in to do it for project status. So it is now, there you go. You get to pick your back color and you get to pick your fore color for all of your statuses. So there, and it displays here in the columns. I know that seems minor, but that was major for a lot of you when it was asked for. We added columns here, because believe it or not, we've always shown this contact email here, but we've never, for some reason, had the contact name, their phone, or the mobile field, mobile phone field in here to be able to view. You can now do that. In fact, we added a layout for that called contact. I'll just go to that because it's easiest, but there. It'll populate on open if there's ones that don't have it, but you'll now be able to see this information, which is kind of important. I have no idea how we missed it for so long, but we did, and now it's there. Okay, so this is a big deal too for a lot of you. Project templates. We've had project templates, right? You guys know that. Hopefully all of you are using them, but they're really limited. We implemented project templates so long ago, and we never went back and addressed why we did things the way we did back when. So it was a long, long time ago. Essentially, what we would do is we'd take a project file, and you're going to create them the same way. So I'll show you that. Actually, I'll pick one. You pick them the same, or you create them the same way, where you go create template. All right. So what this would do is it would make a copy of the product, zip it up, and would store it on your server. And then when you created a product from template, we would unzip that file, and and it would be used to create your new project. The problem with that and the limitations are we never showed you what was, or more information about the template when you were creating it. It was, okay, pick the name and the description of this template. There was no details whatsoever about it. You couldn't edit it. If you wanted to change it, you would have to create a project from that template, make your changes, then create a new template based off of that, delete the old template, and then moving forward, use that new one. You absolutely could not edit them. We just didn't allow for it, again, because of the implementation. So what we've done in this version right here. I'll create a template off of this one. Very similar to what we had for here for creating them, where we're going to pick the project description and what files, because as you know, you can have drawing files that you may want to be associated to a template. Certainly can do that. This one doesn't happen to have any drawings, but this was very standard before. But again, when you were creating a project, you wouldn't be able to view those items. What we added here on the creation, though, is if the project has checklists, you'll be prompted to include any of those checklists that here. You can select these if you want, or you can cancel if you don't want to bring in the checklist. We also will offer, if there's a Gantt view created for this, if you have a standard Gantt view that you start with for some project planning, for instance, you could create that as part of your template, and it offers to add that as part of the template. So you'll have a baseline Gantt view. I'll just hit, select as I'm talking here, and it just lets me know that it's been created. Great. Okay, so how do you manage your templates? Let me show you that feature. Up here under view, we've always had the active, the my, and the archive. Now we have templates, which is going to let you see a lot more information than used to. And it's just right here in the Project Explorer. And I left this here on purpose. So this is what you're going to see on when you upgrade from a previous version. If you have older templates, the old ones that we used to zip up on the server, we let you know that. If you want to use those, you're going to have to upgrade them to our new format and ask you if you want to proceed or not. I'm going to say no because I don't want to take that time to do that. But this will take me over to the projects interface. So I'm viewing my project templates now. Here you see the little check mark there under templates. We collapsed the client list because clients are relevant out here right now because these are templates. And you can see here, that's the one I just created at the top there. I didn't change the name, so it stayed. And you have a list here where you're able to view the items and any checklists if there happens to be any here prior to this. These do check in and check out just like projects. You can, again, believe it or not, we added permissions on who can edit these and who can do what with these. So have at it on your user group permissions. But this will just give you a lot more flexibility when you're creating and managing your templates. And we find that more and more users are relying on templates more and more. I'll show you when you go to create a project from template. It's a much better interface, and here it's yelling at me about my previous templates. But here, rather than just show you a name and a description of the template, this is where you're going to see a lot more columns. I'm just scrolling over. In fact, as we've learned, every time we build an interface, we got to give you guys the option to choose your layouts, create custom layouts, show whatever you want to see here. Not to mention quick filters here for finding templates quickly for those of you that have a ton of them. So let's go ahead and hit OK on that message. So that's a hopefully you guys can appreciate that new feature. Pretty neat. Okay, change orders. I know nobody loves change orders, but they're part of life, y'all. So get used to it. Change orders. So what we allowed in this version is for you to create a change order number format. We used to just auto number them. We always, not always, but for a while now, we've given you the option of maintaining separate numbering between internal and external, but we were still counting up for like one, change order 1, 2, 3, unless you, manually override that. So now under project number format, we have external and internal change order. Now, if you're not maintaining separate numbering, we'll only have a change order number format, but this is just like projects in the sense that you get to choose what fields, what value, what length, and make your change order numbers completely customizable. One key thing that we added out here for those of you that use our API with change orders, it was brought to our attention that there's a limitation for a while now when you are, or that you're not really able to use this, maintain separate numbering when you're using our API for exporting because we overwrite the number. We see it as the same. It's a 1 and it's 1. We don't differentiate between external and internal. Now you can do that with this change order number format. You're going to be able to differentiate based on change order type. Put it right there in the thing. So that's internal versus external. So not to mention that you can always just use a a text field if you wanted to say whatever you wanted to say, and that will differentiate that as a unique number. So you now can maintain separate numbering formats and push through our API. So good for that. I'll just mention it now then. We made a ton of API changes too. I'm not going to be demoing or showing any of those. You can always contact Eduardo Volek on our team for information about those changes. Okay, besides the number format, other change order settings. Change orders can now have their own payment terms. For those of you familiar with our D-Tools Cloud product, they've been doing that, I think, from the get-go, or a long time now. And SI, we've never given you that option, and it's something that is long overdue. And to explain the way it works now is, and we've gotten away with it for a while out here because we don't do invoicing through SI. We don't track the payments that you've received. We're not doing that through SI, at least not yet. So what we've historically done, and you could still do it this way if you want, but when you approve a project, you have a payment schedule for that project, right? Like an initial deposit, progress payment 1, progress payment 2, and a final. Let's just give that example, right? Great, and that gets locked down. When you approve the project, you've got these numbers. Then you create a change order. The change order value, when you approve it, obviously it's positive, that gets rolled into these payment terms that already may have been billed for in another, obviously, accounting software that we're not aware of. And it kind of made that useless in the sense of we're not really going to bill that or tack it onto the main bill. And even if it does, the initial deposit may have already been received, right? So we've given you the option now to maintain separate payment terms when you're approving the project. You can choose yes or no to do that. And it's also a default. It's one of your project rules on whether or not you want to do that. In fact, real quickly, project rules, where are you? Project rules on an approved project. Change orders have their own payment terms. You can set that as a default, but if there's a time when you don't need it, you can change that. And what we did in addition to that would be when we look at payment terms globally here, there's now a default for project default and then a change order default. So this one here, again, that example I gave with the 4 is there. The default change order one is final. Like a single payment. We found that was a lot of your use cases when we talk to clients, like change orders are paid in full. They don't get added to another or the original bill, and they don't get initial deposit, a progress payment, and a final. We want that paid in full. So if that's not the case, you could still put a different payment schedule here for your change orders if there is an initial and say a final versus all the progress payments. Up to you. But you're not locked into that. That's just your default. Keep that in mind. As you create change orders, you can do whatever you want. In fact, we're going to go ahead and show you that right now. But to show you that, I'm going to show you another new feature as I go. And that is partial approval of projects. So in order to create a change order, you guys know you have to approve a project. So the use case came up, and why this is beneficial to a lot of you is that you present a project and it's got a whole bunch of different systems in it and locations, and the client only wants to do some of that right now or part of it. Of course, you can always just what you would do in v23 is you can delete the items they don't want, maybe make a revision so you have a backup. Of course, delete the items that they don't want, approve the project as it is, and then if they come back later and want that other stuff, you have to go look it up and pull it back over. So our first go at this, we gave it just some basic quick functionality here, but what we're going to allow you to do is take a project like this, choose to approve it, and approve project partially. There's that change orders have their own payment terms. We'll leave that. But here, if you want to partially approve this, you then get to select the items that you want to approve. So we'll go here, and this pulls up everything in this job. There's quick filters here, of course, for location, systems, filter to what you want. If in fact, let's say I wanted to just do these. We'll do that too. Okay, apply. Select all here, select. And so it basically showed me here, you have 105 items to approve. The remaining 304 will be added to a pending change order. So that's how we've approached this. We just take this job, approve the items that you've said, that you've chosen, and we put the rest on a pending change order. Here's that change order. It's going to come up here. This would populate if I had a format in the new one. And then you can save this, and it will approve the project and create a pending change order automatically for you with those remaining items. So, and that'll sit out there that you can then decide if you're going to approve or not, or move those to a different change order or split it out. I don't know why my project locked. Probably over budget. There we go. Okay, so to show the other part of this about the different payment terms, let's open the project, and here you go. There's the some items that are on the pending change order up here at the top. And if we go here to payment terms inside of the project, you'll notice over here we have the approved project here, and then here's that pending change order where you have the ability to modify this while this change order is still pending. As soon as you approve it, this locks down, and the next change order has its own payment terms. It'll start off as final unless you decide to change that. So, yeah, that's kind of a big deal for a lot of you. So, partial approval of projects. Okay, moving ahead, let's see. Well, this is a little out of place, but deletion of notifications. This really doesn't have to do with projects, but the notifications that come in here, and I do have a few of these. We added a delete option for you can also right click and do that as well. We know that you mark them as red once you view them and all that, but this list can get pretty long for a lot of you, and you may want to delete that and keep it clean. So just added that so you can get rid of them. Job costs. Let's talk about this. Such a fun topic, job costing. As you know, we do have job costs here. If you don't, now you do know that we have that. Job cost is up here to run on any project or projects. And the way we've set this up initially was that when an item is marked, you get to choose whether it's picked, ordered, received, picked, or installed to count towards the cost of the job, the cost of those items. When one of those four actions takes place, count it towards job costing. And we made labor only count towards job costing if you have approved timesheets for that project. That's what would count towards your actual hours and the cost. We had a request that they didn't want to have to be forced to use approved timesheets, that they wanted to have labor items in the project that they mark as installed, because we do have that field on labor items. Like, we treat it kind of like a product in that regard. That mark as installed would count towards job costing. So you do have that option now. Let me go to my settings, actually. Job cost settings, and here, job cost labor, approved timesheets only, or approved timesheets and installed labor items. And again, that's a labor item that you tick the box installed. So if you have that option, we'll count that towards your job cost. Gives you a little more flexibility. I think one of the use case here was just outsourced labor, or subcontractors, I should say, subcontracted labor. They don't want to have to create timesheets for that. They have labor items. They know the work was done, just mark it as installed and count it. So hopefully that'll help you all that are using our job cost features there. So another complaint we had here, if you look here, we had an installation price, margin, markup, and labor hours here. I forget what we added in the last release. I think it was margin and markup, if I'm not mistaken. I think we always showed install price and labor hours, but because of some views and it's more resolution on certain monitors, if you're at 150% or 175% or whatever crazy settings y'all are using on these high-def monitors these days, it was making this unreadable and pushing it off. So in the event that happens, we've just given you the options of choosing what displays here. I don't know why I hit refresh. Here, let me go here. It's under project settings, project editor. Here you can choose what displays in headers within there. So the item count, total installation, again, who cares about markup? Nobody talks in markup, so you get rid of markup. Even y'all that think he's talking markup, you mean margin. There you go. So there's your margin, 30.37 across the board. All right, so there's that. Another, not complaint, but a feature that users wanted is the ability to copy text from a project that isn't checked out to them. They don't want to check it out and have editing capabilities, but they just want to copy, whether it's a description or whatever field from that project. And we let you copy some, but as you know, when a project is not checked out to you, it is locked for edit. So a lot of those fields we grayed out. It's just how our forms worked, and it would not give you the ability to select that text. So we've now made it just so the text is not editable, but you can still select it and copy it, and not have to check out and check in the project just to copy and paste something. So we did that. Tim mentioned this earlier too, the conversion of a unit-based project to a quantity-based project. I know that sounds weird. The feature, but it really was just for users who change their mind, or the project starts getting a little bigger than you thought it would, because you've been doing this massive project for 3 years, or you started this before we had quantity-based. The bottom line is, or you made a mistake by converting a quantity-based to a unit-based. The bottom line is it's a pretty simple feature. We just give you the ability to say, okay, I know this is a unit-based project. Can I convert it to a quantity-based? We are not going to try to recombine this if it ever was quantity-based prior. Like, know that these 3 items were once one line item in a quantity of 3. That's not happening. We'll just convert it back so that the quantity field is editable, and then you can adjust moving forward the quantities of future items in that project. So that will be a big deal for some of you. So. Let's see. Okay, another thing I want to talk about real here. Downloading data from us, from our library. Just a real quick thing here. We always show all products. Now you get an option here just to show new or matched products. Say you're just doing updates, or you don't want to see stuff you already have, you just want new. So nice little filter out here for when you're adding data. As I'm talking about adding data from here, as you know, we have vendor partners, or I hope you all know we have vendor partners right here. You can connect to them. This is a list of our partners, and you can connect with them to get your pricing added directly into SI, and the price being the unit cost, right? MSRP comes down for a lot of the items, and even unit of measure here in SI. We have that field, so we add that. Well, what we added, the first part here is just real simple, but I still want to take it to show you. Let's see if I can find it. Well, bear with me while I look up this item. We added a new field here for that the partner price checked on. So we've always had when it was updated, and you know what, I'm not going to remember which item I had. Forget that example there. Let me go to a project. So we added a updated on field. I'll open any product and show you that. Sorry, I was going to show one from an actual partner, but sigh. All right, let me go out here and just show you the field. Partner checked on. That's the new field that we added here. So you know not only when it was updated, but it was checked, because there might have checked it, but there wasn't an update. And you wonder, wait, it hasn't been updated in 2 months. Well, we did check. It just, there was no update. Give you a little more peace of mind, right? The other thing we did, which this is even bigger, this is the one here. Let me find a smaller project here to show you this in, is, put here on the order tab, we added those. Well, there's the new one, the checked on, but partner set, partner updated on, and partner checked on fields in the project editor, because you never had that visibility before. We only stored that data at the catalog level. So if you're adding an item over here, there's an order tab that you would see this on, but you never in the project. So you're working on a project and you may be messing around with some pricing. It's a good indication here. And filter, now you see we have filters along here just to show these columns, and of course they're part of our custom layout, so you can show those. But that is a huge deal for so many of you to know, is my partner or is partner, my vendor partner pricing updated for this project, or did something change there? So there's that. Okay, I don't want to. Oh man, I'm pushing time here. Real quickly, for service orders, you can set a default price type for service orders now, which is a nice feature. And what that means is we've always had the ability to add, or a default price type when you're adding items to a project. It's usually your top tier of your, say, A, B, and C pricing. But again, it could be any one of your I forget how many we have. We have so many price types, but you picked your default. And we now just have a setting for the price types for when you're adding to a service order. So it could be like you may want to charge more on a service order for an item than you normally would on a project, and that pricing can be set ahead of time. We also added filters to the layouts for service orders, tasks, and service plans. Some of you probably need to show this, that you may not know this. We've had this for projects for years, but never anywhere else in the software. But here, when you're doing a custom layout, there's now a filter. That's the key thing here. That, again, we always only had this on projects, but now it's on all of our Explorer tabs. You're going to be able to add a filter, which again could be anything like status or whatever you really want to see out there, whether it's overdue. And then purchase order number format. We added a quick thing here to show you. Purchase order settings. We didn't go crazy and add all the fields like we did with change orders. Sorry, we did this kind of towards the end. We decided we'll give you a prefix, a separator, number of digits, and a start from. So it does give you more flexibility. And so that's good because it's getting more important. Okay, timesheet changes real quick. You can export the current layout from the Timesheet Explorer. That's kind of a big deal for those of you that are exporting and importing into other software. That time tracking, but you're keeping it here. You need to get it exported out. You can set your layout up ahead of time and get that data in the format you need. And then we also gave permission-based, mind you, the ability for users with the permission to adjust the cost per hour when you're approving timesheets. That came up for those that you may have certain projects that you're approving the timesheet, but you know it's prevailing wage, and you have to override what we've set in there. You're going to be able to do that now if you have that permission to change the cost. Users. Some QuickBooks settings real quick. Vendors will now be created in QuickBooks Online. That wasn't available when we initially implemented, but their SDK has changed. So vendor now gets created. It always has in desktop, but now it's going to happen on QuickBooks Online. We're going to export the shipment preference from a PO to the ship via field in QuickBooks Online, since they have a ship via field. Couple of options out here real quick, and then I'm going to really have to go over to Q&A, I'm sure. But on QuickBooks estimates here's a job name for the project. We used to allow you to just add the number if you wanted to as a setting here for projects, but now for projects and service orders, you get to choose what the job name gets created for from over in QuickBooks. The project name, the project number, or project name and number. Same goes for service order. Okay, I'm going to stop now. There's more features out there on our list, but I hopefully have shown you the exciting ones here. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate your time. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your support. As always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to us at info@d-tools.com or sales@d-tools.com. Have a great day. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you again soon.